Welcome to episode number 151 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on July 24, 2016. I am David Erickson, your co-host. I'm with BL Achman. This week's topics include Trump's stealing music and stealing words, Apple's censorship patent, Facebook Live updates, Black Lives Matter at Starbucks, long live the Ice Bucket Challenge, Michelle Obama gets her freak on, Pokey dates, a lot more, cool marketing tools and stats at the end of the podcast, so you want to watch all the way through. We started off every week with the worst story of the week, and BL always has the honors. BL, kick it off. What was the worst story of the week this week?
Well, Dave was telling me in the green room that this happens every convention, but I don't think to this extent. The song thefts at the GOP convention were really outrageous. And this is from a story at Blue Nation Review by Eric Kleefeld. And, you know, the problem is that getting minorities, the disabled, non-Christian religious groups, the list goes on. I could continue throughout the broadcast. But among the songs that they used without permission, Queen, We Are the Champions, and the band and Sony Records both complained. And, you know, it's just a really weird song for him to use because it was created by a bisexual artist, Freddie Mercury, who died of AIDS. And it's an odd piece of music to play at a Republican convention. And Queen said, an unauthorized use at the Republican convention against our wishes. Then they used, this is one of my favorites, Neil Diamond's classic Sweet Caroline, which in fact Diamond has said he wrote in honor of Caroline Kennedy. And then there was Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire, even though Cash was so vocal as an anti-war protester that he sang anti-war songs when he was a guest in Richard Nixon's White House. And then they used Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, even though the boss campaigned for both John Kerry and Barack Obama. But the problem is the song, often sung only for the chorus, is in fact about the downtrodden life of a Vietnam veteran and his feelings of complete betrayal. It's the wrong song for the message they were trying to give. And then the Stones, Satisfaction, closed the convention. The weirdest song in the world. And the Stones said they didn't give permission and they weren't asked for it. And they used David Bowie's Station to Station, which includes the line, "It's not effects of cocaine. I'm thinking it must be love." You know, go figure. Nobody listens. Nobody listened to these songs. Nobody looked at the lyrics of the songs before they stole them. It's one thing to steal music. It's another to steal things that have nothing to do with what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well, it does happen every presidential campaign season. This story writes itself because there's always musicians complaining about some politician using their songs, and so it's not surprising at all. What was surprising to me was the use of the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want.
So funny.
As the intro music to to introducing Trump's vice presidential candidate, Mike Pence, who it was widely reported he was ambivalent about choosing and probably didn't really want in the first place. So,
and then they closed the convention with that song. Like, what a weird-ass way to close the convention. You can't always get what you want. You get what you need.
Yeah. Well, speaking of music, there's a bad story, bad. Well, the story isn't bad. The Apple has been awarded a patent that would prevent you from recording concert video. This is from a 9to5 Mac post by Ben Lovejoy. Now, last month, Apple was awarded a patent that would stop people from using their smartphones or tablets to snap images or record video or audio. The technology would send infrared signals at cameras while people try to snap photos or take video. It would disable the photography and recording for as long as the signal is active. So presumably this patent is for a device that would create that signal that disrupts photography photography or recordings. The use cases they cited as examples is concert venues. So musicians have long complained about people recording their concerts on video. Comedians have done the same thing. Another use case is like in classified facilities where there is sensitive information that nobody wants to get out from behind the walls of the facility. We can debate the merits of prohibiting recordings at concerts. I mean, there's legitimate things. There's obviously musicians think that some musicians think that prevents people from going to concerts or buying albums. I don't think that's the case. Counting Crows is an example I always cite. They encourage people to take video and photos at their concerts, and I think it spreads more. It's marketing, and the people who are not going to, people are going to buy concert tickets, or they're not going to buy concert tickets, because I don't think a YouTube video is going to stop them from doing it if they want to see
it might make you want to see them more.
Exactly. Really? Peter Frampton had a tour where he was selling recordings of each show. So you could actually get a recording of the concert that you went to. I'd love that. I think everybody should do that, because I'd absolutely pay more for the recording on top of the ticket price, because it's the memory, right? It's the experience you already had that you can relive. But just this technology, I think, sets a horrible precedent that's
censorship.
It's censorship. And imagine if there was a crime or a terrorist attack that occurred at a concert, and you've just disabled all that valuable evidence that people would have of recording at the event, or used by governments that are oppressive. They can hide what they're doing by enabling this technology. So I think it's a really, really bad precedent. I'm
appalled by it.
Yeah,
I'm really appalled by it.
It is just a patent right now, so it's an idea. It's not. They haven't done.
Well, maybe they'll think through before they actually do it. I mean, maybe the whole patent so nobody else does. Reason. That's a lofty thought for them. So that brings me back to the GOP convention. And my favorite part of it, I mean, we've all heard about Melania Trump's speech and how she, stole whole passages from Michelle Obama, and how they denied it, and how it all turned out. But as I was telling Dave before the show, I was coming home from the theater the other night, and I was checking in on Twitter, and I see that they're saying, she was actually, this is his campaign manager, and he's actually saying that she was quoting My Little Pony. And my favorite tweet about that said, "How dare you bring Princess Sparkle into this, you monsters." And then, of course, the next day, some unknown person fell on her sword and said that it was her fault and she did it. And, who cares who did it? I mean, what I think this all meant was that Trump got 3 days of publicity, much more of his gazillions of dollars of earned media, because as far as he's concerned, no publicity is bad publicity. As long as they're talking about you, he doesn't really give a crap what they're saying. And to me, it was taking the focus off of some of the really negative things that were going on at the same time. And so I think they put Melania out there as like a sacrificial lamb. He's devious enough to do that.
Yeah, I don't buy that, but I also don't buy any publicity is good publicity. Those bad publicity that didn't help him.
Right, but that's what he thinks. He really
does think that. Yeah.
He says, as long as they're talking about you, it can't be bad. Yes, it can.
Yeah. So the Trump campaign thus far has been one stumble followed by another, followed by another, followed by another. Here's another one that I just discovered today. They're running ads now. I saw a Donald Trump banner ad out in the wild. I was on a story on Fortune and saw it, and struck me as very odd seeing a Donald Trump ad, not the least of which is he hasn't been advertising, so that's a first. But the fact that I saw it, so it was a banner ad on Fortune soliciting donations, and just the fact that I saw it is what struck me as odd, because I live in Minnesota. Minnesota Trump finished third in the Republican primaries in Minnesota, one of the few states that did not vote for Trump in the primaries. And so why are you running ads at people? There's such a thing as geo-targeting, right? Why are you running ads for people in a state that that didn't support you, right? One. The ads are being delivered through Google's DoubleClick, so there's the sophistication of DoubleClick's network involved, so he can target based on geography, based on demographics, based on psychographics, based on technographics. Google's got enough data about me to be able to exclude me from seeing those ads because I'm not going to support him. And if you're clever enough with your advertising, you can exclude the people who you don't want seeing the ad, who aren't going to be supporting you. So it tells me that the Trump campaign just doesn't have the sophisticated modeling of who their supporters are to exclude those people from their ads.
I just think he's so delusional that he really believes that he can get absolutely anybody to vote for him. And you know, I see the ads on Twitter. They have promoted tweets, and I see them on Twitter at the top of the trending things. They've been there for days now, and those cost a fortune.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I mean, is
this his money? Whose money is this?
He just doesn't have a very sophisticated marketing team in place, is what it tells me. On to better stuff, though. You mentioned the Melania Trump's plagiarism. So there was that, and then there was the response, and the response on Twitter was priceless. It was broke. The story was broke by journalist Jarrett Hill, who for whatever reason, figured out that there was plagiarism going on and broke it on Twitter. And then the Twitterverse followed up with commentary. Some of the tweets, just priceless. Josh Butler had a tweet that said, "Irony is the Trump campaign plagiarism a speech about the importance of hard work." So they're plagiarizing a speech that's about the importance of hard work. Captain Jake Ballard had a Photoshop of Michelle Obama holding up a sign that says "Bring back my speech," and that's from the "Bring Back Our Girls" thing. So so he photoshopped "Bring back my speech" on there. Jim Stillwell had a tweet that said, "I'd like to thank two of my speech writers, copy and paste, for their help in preparing my remarks." famous Melania Twitter quotes hashtag began trending worldwide. Blaine Searson had a tweet that said, you get a speech, everybody gets a speech," accompanied by a photo of Oprah when she was giving away cars. You get a car, everyone gets a car. DJ Esquire had a tweet that just said, "Okay, I'm done," and it was accompanied by a photo of Michelle Obama at a school desk writing on a piece of paper with Melania behind her, peeking and stealing Michelle's answers. Nick Too Quick had a tweet that said, "I'm so proud of my amazing black daughters, Sasha and Malia," and then it's what
that would have been so funny if
by Melania Trump. Juana Escalante had a quote that said, "Immigrants come to this country and steal all our quotes." And finally, Internet Palace had a quote that said, "I wrote this with as little help as possible," accompanied by a photo of Michelle and Barack Obama laughing, an animated GIF of them laughing. And that actually is a quote by Melania. "I wrote this with as little help as possible," referring to the speech.
Oh boy. I mean, it really, you know, it's funny, except that it's real. It would be funnier if somebody was like making it up, but unfortunately it happened. That's the part that makes me so sad, that it actually happened. But anyway, speaking of Michelle Obama got her freak on with James Corden and Missy Elliott, and she promoted her Education for Girls initiative. She is the coolest first lady in the history of the world. Try to imagine Melania Trump doing that, or for that matter, Hillary Clinton. Somehow, I don't think Hillary's going to do it, but she could surprise us.
She only got to drive within the bounds of the White House lawn, though. I think that's kind of
She said she hadn't been a passenger in a car for 7.5 years, except when she was riding with her daughter learning how to drive. But you could see from time to time the Secret Service behind them, and well, yeah, well, where are they going to go? I mean, but where does he ever go? Does he ever go anywhere? I think they don't really ever go anywhere.
No, they don't get to go outside the White House.
No, I mean James Corden. James Corden. Does he
No.
ever go anywhere? And when he's doing those, I don't know. But I just love him. He's so adorable, and she was just so real. She's like a real person. And I spoke to people, and they said, they're making that up about Melania stealing the speech. I said, did you see the video of them side by side? Oh, you can make that stuff up. I mean, people who want to vote for Trump just don't care what the reality is. It's like,
so, switching gears, Google.
Yes.
Google has a new feature for their advertising, native advertising. You can now use Google AdWords to deliver native advertising. This is from an Ad Age article by George Slefo. So advertisers can now buy native ads programmatically through DoubleClick Bid Manager. Advertisers won't have to provide fully design creative, so you can just upload the components of a native ad, like a headline, image, and text, and DoubleClick will then automatically assemble them to fit the context and the format of the site or the app where the ad will appear. The company said that more than 200 publishers will be using Google's native ad solution. The native ad units can run on both traditional banner ad slots and a new fully responsive fluid ad slot. So that's very fascinating because of the content marketing thing that has been taking hold for several years and continues full bore. More people are creating content for marketing, and so promoting that content through these native ad units through Google self-serve advertising will go a long way for content marketers. I'll try them out on my Google AdSense and see how they work. I haven't played around with them yet, but I'll report back.
Yeah, let us know. Well, on Facebook, there's news as well. Facebook is, first of all, now allowing broadcasts as long as 4 hours. The limit had been 2 hours, and now they're going to allow up to 4 hours. But what I think is interesting is that they're letting people, this is from a Marketing Land article by Tim Peterson, and they're going to let people restrict their audiences for their streams. So you could base it on region, city, zip code, and you can set minimum and maximum age limits for the people to watch. And it's only available to people who use the social networks API when they do their live stream. So media companies, professional creators, and brands that use software to send the stream that's shot using fancy cameras and screencasting tools. But that means that live streaming within the app for normal people who aren't able to limit, to have those tools is probably going to come about in the not distant future. That seems to be the way they've been rolling out features up till now. Is they do them with celebrities and big brands, and then they say, okay, everybody can do it. So what they're doing now is they're allowing either feature-length films or coverage of events that could be streamed live, and that's the audience is so enormous that it's really hard for anybody to compete with them, and they're catching up to YouTube. And so the best advice at this time is you better be using several platforms, not just depending on one.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a boon for indie filmmakers, because they can hold a preview showing or an exclusive showing or whatever, and it's just live. So it's appointment type of thing, as well as TV shows. I think we'll probably preview episodes of upcoming shows. So watch for that.
TV stations are starting to let people binge watch seasons, so that's got to be what's coming next, really.
Right.
There gets to be less and less reason to have cable TV all the time. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting was an article in the New Yorker this week by James Sorowicki, I hope that's correct. And he was talking about the surprisingly long-lasting impact of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. You know, you wonder, like, okay, everybody poured ice on each other's heads, and, you know, it raised awareness. How temporary was that? And in fact, there has been so much money raised for ALS research, and that continues. The awareness level, you know, raised and stayed high, and that's wonderful news. Absolutely wonderful news for that horrible, horrible disease that a dear friend of mine died of, and I can tell you it's a horrible way to die. But you know, to think that that silly thing had the kind of impact that it did over the longer term is very heartening indeed.
Right, absolutely. That's a great example of advocacy marketing. Basically, this is a clever example I found this week too of advocacy marketing for Black Lives Matter. So this is from a Huffington Post article by Taryn Finley, and Taryn discovered that when people are ordering Starbucks, they are changing their name. Rather, when the barista asks their name, rather than saying their name, they say their name is Black Lives Matter. So the barista has to write Black Lives Matter on their cup, and when their drink is ready, they have to shout out Black Lives Matter
That's great.
for the customers. So they're getting some branding out of baristas at Starbucks. There's a Facebook user, Lex Cross, who posted his Starbucks receipt with a screenshot of the Black Lives Matter's name on it. To his Facebook page. The post has been shared over 47,000 times. It's been liked more than 38,000 times, and it's generated 3,200 comments. And now others have been doing the same thing and posting their photos to social media as well. So it's created a bit of a movement online. So a very clever way to get that word out.
It's a clever way to do it, and Starbucks is a company that's been very socially responsible and socially active, and so they, you know, I can imagine there might be other companies that would try and thwart that effort, but you know, they would
Kind
never
of
do
on
that.
brand with Starbucks, right?
Yeah, you know. So Twitter did something interesting this week. They started taking applications for verified accounts, and we'll put a link in the show notes of where you can apply for one, because that's a good thing to have.
Yep. Have you done it?
I haven't done it. I this was a very crazy week in my life, and I really just didn't have time to do
Yeah,
my long list of things I wanted to do this week.
I went through the process and applied, so we'll no word yet. You're supposed to get an email afterwards if you have been accepted. So yeah, you go through and you basically fill out a short form. You provide some links that verify you are who you say you are. You make a case for yourself. You have to write. You have 55,000 characters to make a case for why you should have a verified account.
Well, that's
And
hilarious.
you have to upload a scan of a government issued ID
Do you
to
really?
verify who you are. Yeah, so like scan your driver's license to demonstrate you are who you say you are. I think it's a really smart move by Twitter to opening up for the public, because what Facebook knows is that once you own your identity, your comments tend not to be of the really disruptive and unhelpful variety, if we can put it politely, right? There's a lot of trolling that goes on Twitter, and if people own their identities, they're far less likely to be nasty online, right? Because it's reflective of who they are.
I got trolled this week on Twitter. It's kind of amusing. Okay, so does that bring us?
One more quick one.
Go ahead.
Yelp has partnered with Pokemon Go. This is from a Yelp blog post by Will Cole. They have a new feature and a search filter to better help Pokemon Go players. Yelp users can now search Yelp.com for businesses with nearby Pokestops on mobile or desktop. So the new Pokestop search filter is enabled on iOS and Android. It's currently available in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Spain, and Italy. So there you go. Smart move.
The game's gotten to all those places. You know, I kind of thought we'd talk about that one week and then it would be done, but it's still here. and
Right.
it's spreading. So I briefly looked at an app that I'll talk about next week called Blipar. But one of the things that I came across was a vote phone app. It's great whether you're in a city or on a mountain, and unlike my AT&T service, which certainly doesn't work if you're on a mountain. But anyway, so they have this app that's called the TransHumap. And what it does is it brings light to a dying tradition, which is transhumance, which is a seasonal movement where shepherds transfer their sheep from the mountains to the plains. And so this app pits you against the shepherds who's going to make the 300-kilometer journey to see who moves farther and faster on a given day. And it works like a fitness app, but it has a hilarious a video with the shepherds explaining what they're doing and, you know, challenging you to keep up with them. It's really very funny, but it's only available in Romania. Sorry about that, but it's very funny. You should watch the video.
Sounds good. I came across an app this week called Grammarly. It is an extension for Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. It works anywhere on the web. It does real-time checking of your grammar. You can sign up for an account, and then it gives you a web-based editor that you can write in at app.grammarly.com. It also has Office and Office integration, so you can download a plugin for your Office for Microsoft Office, which works in Word and in Outlook. It has desktop software, so there's native desktop software you can download for Windows or Apple. There's a premium version that includes advanced grammar and spelling checks, vocabulary suggestions, genre-specific style checks, a plagiarism checker. Melania, you might have wanted to using Grammarly. The premium version starts at $30 a month or $140 a year if you pay for a full year in advance. So pretty cool app.
That, you know, well, I assure you that every word at the Democratic Convention will go through a plagiarism app before it's spoken. But an app that I think is really quite terrific and is free. It uses the tech. It's called BlockEye, and it uses the same technology that verifies Bitcoin transactions, and that technology is called the blockchain. And BlockEye assists artists because it makes it possible for you to timestamp your photos, your artwork, and your drawings, and so you get actually you just like copy your image onto a box on their website, and it checks for infringements and use without authorization, and you get a digital certificate, and it has cryptographic proof recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain, and it gives you some copyright protection, which can help you remove copyright violations, and you get to profile encourage people, and I do wish they had something like this for stuff we write, because my blog gets ripped off every single day, and I'm sure everybody else's does too, by people that I can't believe Google doesn't know about. But you know, that's what they do. They just take it and they say admin wrote it instead of you, and you know, so we need one of these for words.
Speaking of art, Google has a new art app, basically. It's called Google Arts and Culture app. You can actually see it on the web at google.com/cultural institute/beta, but there's an Android and an iOS app for mobile. It shows, I was looking at it today, there's today is the birth date of Edward Hopper, artist Edward Hopper, who was born in July 1822. He's famous for the Nighthawk painting of the diner, all-night diner with 4 lonely souls in it, very stylistic. It was inspired by a restaurant in New York's Greenwich Avenue, on New York's Greenwich Avenue. But it basically gives you an art history lesson of all kinds of different artists. You can take tours of museums, 360 virtual tours of museums, and wonders the world. So you can there's a package on Machu Picchu. You can do a 360 tour of Stonehenge or the Guggenheim Museum. Just if you're into art and culture and history, it's a great app. So there you go.
Oh, that sounds so much better than art history in college with that big book, and you'd have to sit with the lectures and watch the slides and draw the picture so you'd remember what it was when you took the test. I mean, God, that was awful.
Yeah, well, the app takes you through, basically it'll take you through a painting and point out very specific areas of the painting and highlight what those, the interesting aspects of that. So it is better than that. It's better than the old art history lesson.
Anything would be. Well, I have the good fortune to live within walking distance of some of New York's great museums, and so I and just going traveling to get to a museum, or you don't get to them often. It's a whole different thing, and sometimes they have lectures and events around the exhibits, and I just kind of run up, listen to one of those. It's really it's a great privilege. And your New York City ID card, which is free to get, gives you membership in all the museums. So, the memberships that are $150 a year, you get them free with that ID. It's pretty cool.
It's much better than an app, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, but I mean, what a great app. I can't wait to look at it. So, this had to happen. There's now Pokédates, Pokemon dating service, because it's much more fun to play Pokemon with somebody else. And initially available only in the US, sorry about that, but the dates are $20 each. And it was created by this US dating company called Project Fixup, and they describe themselves as an offline dating startup, and they claim they've arranged thousands of fix-ups since they started in Chicago in 2012. So, I'm waiting to hear about the Pokemon people who met and got married, and that has to come. There has to be the first Pokemon Go wedding any minute now.
All right, so is that it? Do we got projects next?
Oh yeah, we do. We both have them. Well, I did launched a video interview this week. I'm looking for it, and it's a kind of a fun one. Is it true that you pay taxes even after you die? Which is an interview with attorney Daniel Antonelli, and it's just like under 2 minutes. And the bottom line is, yeah, you do pay taxes after you die, and there's 3 different kinds you might owe. Oh my God! So. Take a look. And can you imagine you would owe taxes after you die?
Yeah, I can't imagine. Fortunately,
you're dead, and they're getting your money. I mean, whoa. Basically, it happens to people who die in the middle of the year before they file their taxes. But then there's 2 other kind of taxes you could owe.
Yeah, well, we had to do the taxes of my mother after she passed. So yeah, he did it. It happens. So death and taxes, right? I was quoted in a story by Julio Ojeda Zapata this past week, who's a local tech writer for the Pioneer Press newspaper, and he did a story on Twin Cities businesses that are embracing the Pokemon Go craze, and it's got some very some interesting examples of how businesses around here are embracing it, including Best Buy and Mall of America. And based on that story, I did a blog post of 17 examples of augmented reality. So since Pokemon is introducing the mainstream world to augmented reality, I thought I'd pull together some examples to show how other ways people are using augmented reality, and that can be found at my agency's blog post. We'll include a link to that in the show notes. Let's wrap this up then. Daily numbers. This is from an Adweek article by Christopher Heine, and what celebrities social media posts are worth. This is according to measurement company Damari Analytics. They say Selena Gomez is the #1 celebrity in terms of the value of their social media posts. So Selena Gomez's social media posts are worth $550,000 per social media post when the message occurs across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The methodology is a rate per post is her ad equivalent rate across posts across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That may be different from how much she's actually getting paid for her social media posts or sponsored posts. That's up to negotiations, obviously, between her agents and the brands that want to use her as a social media distributor. But the valuation is based on Damari's algorithm, which includes 56 metrics that include followers, post frequency, engagement, quality of post, click-through, and potential to create sales conversion from her social content. Gomez has a social media audience of roughly 200 million people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's pretty remarkable. That really is. Can you just imagine how wealthy you could get with something like that? Oh, my goodness. So on that happy note, thank you for watching episode 151 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And links to everything we talked about, the stories that we discussed today, will be on the BeyondSocialMediaShow.com blog /151, because this is episode 151. And we are presenting our blog post in a new way where you are able to see the video segment along with the link so that you know where it came from and what we said about it. It's a different way of looking at the show after the show. And so we hope you let us know what you think by leaving us a review at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/love. And online, David Erickson is at DErickson on Twitter. He's blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog, both of which are insightful and interesting, and you should read them. And I'm BL Achman. I am at What's Next on Twitter. What's Next blog is my blog, and I run a company called Maximum-Plus.com. And you will find the show at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. And, of course, we're on YouTube. And we try to be everywhere. And we're on iTunes and Stitcher. And we will be back next week, same time, same station. And we thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for watching.